Oh, good morning, everybody. Hopefully, some of you slept well last night, but let's talk about some of the damage this morning, see what's happening with the markets. And basically, what's happening with the SPY, the QQQ, IWM is they are kind of still in free fall. I think it was a little bit expected from last night, simply for the fact that prices did closed very, very negatively on Friday, right? We can just see the SPY. There was really no wick on the bottom here, so that kind of implied that it just wanted to continue its move lower. So that's exactly what happened for the SPY, and because of that, we are seeing more pain this morning. So I think the focus now is to see where is support going to be. And for me, I'm going to start off with the SPY here on the weekly chart just to get an idea of what's really going on. So, essentially, right now we can see pre-market is at 495, and we can see that price could continue all the way lower. And how much lower could it go to? Well, the previous all-time high back in 2022 was 479. And how close did it get to that 479 into pre-market action? It got pretty close, right? It got down to the 482.86, this 4-hour candle right here. That's how low it got to. So it did recover quite a bit from those lows, right? So that's a good thing, but it did not really touch it on the weekly candle. So that could still be a possibility for that. So this 479.98 is something I'm looking at. Also, the bottom of the cloud is something I'm looking at right here, which is around 498. So that's kind of closer to current price. And this has the potential to actually stay inside the cloud maybe this week. We'll see where it opens up in an hour or so, but it does have a potential to maybe stay inside the cloud and possibly come back up. But what I'm really watching for resistance the most now is the 523.80 right here. This 523.80. I need to see that get broken and get it flipped back to a support. So this is something that's kind of important for a trend reversal, right? If price just comes back up and gets to the 523.80 and gets rejected, then the possibility to roll over becomes there. So this is kind of my minimum target to start to flip back to a support to get a trend reversal back to the upside. So right now, there is no trend reversal. There is just prices keep on falling, but at least they're recovering a little bit pre-market. So those are the zones I'm really watching. Really, the 480 or the 498, also the 479, and then the 523. I want this 523 to get broken as a resistance. And QQQ going to start off here with looking at price, and it's also kind of back to its previous all-time high back in 2021, and that is 408. And actually, if we go to the 4-hour chart, it did go through it, right? It did actually wick below it, and it did get back above it. So this one already retested its 2021 highs, which is, I think, a good thing for trying to find a bottom. So where does that leave us now? Well, it just leaves us right in the middle of a range. Still, the bottom of the cloud is 423.40. The the previous high is 408.70, right? So that's the range it's really in. But ultimately, again, the 1.272 is going to be kind of necessary, the 465, to get some kind of trend reversal. So prices could retrace easily way back there, but it's not really time to get excited yet until that can actually get flipped back to a support. And the IWM, this one actually is cutting through the last fib here on log scale and on linear scale, actually, right? Both of these fibs are getting cut right through. But the important thing is there's a lot of activity in this zone. For all of 2022 and 2023, there was a lot of activity in this zone. So that is the saving grace. This is considered maybe a demand zone for that, right? So this is potentially where prices can stabilize finally, right? After this huge capitulation event, perhaps they can finally stabilize down there. But I'm really looking for some stability, at least on top of this 178.24. Let's see if prices can recover that today, right? Perhaps later on this afternoon could go up back to the 382 and above. So I think what we're doing now is just paying attention to stabilizing on support, since a lot of previous support was lost. And Also, another thing for the SPY guys, I wanted to point out is if we go to the monthly chart, um, we can see where price is actually at the monthly baseline kind of right now, 496. So that was a huge, just big within the first 7 days of April, just went from the conversion line straight down to the baseline, and that has potential to stabilize there. Did the QQQ do the same thing? Yeah, it's at the baseline as well, right? So we are at a point where things can stabilize because the baseline on a monthly chart should offer some pretty good support, and the QQQ also hit the 408.71 pre-market. So this is scary, yes, but we went to a destination and we went there very, very quickly. So the potential to stabilize in this zone is there. So I'm not going to be panicking too much today unless like things start to get broken more and more and more. But so far, there was a bounce, right? We saw it on the 4-hour chart right here. We saw the bounce at the 408, basically right here on the pre-market, the 4-hour chart. There it is. So we have that bounce. Now it's time to stabilize on top of there and try to get back towards the resistance above. All right, now I see a lot of things coming in. Yeah, I just wanted to, thanks for your time. I just wanted to make sure everybody's calm, cool, collected, not panicking too much. So wanted to go live for you guys. Yeah, so I'll do Tesla next. I see that in the request. So Tesla is down at 225.60. So while everything else is melting down, this one is not, right? This one is not. This one is actually still not making a lower low, right? It's not going lower than this what is that? The March 11th, March 13th low right there. And on the 4-hour chart, how low did it go? Yeah, even on the 4-hour, it was only down on the 216s. It was kind of a double bottom right there, right? So it's not super scary. It is going back down below this angle though, right? We can see right here in the high time frame, it is going back down below again. But we saw that before with the carry trade, right? And it was just a massive down open and then it recovered. So what I would like to see this week is actually something similar. Just open down massively and then recover back above all these angles and get back above the 250s by Friday. That's what I'm looking for Tesla. But so far, stabilizing with the March lows here is actually a good thing for Tesla, and that's what I'll be looking at for today. Just trying to not go lower than that. And Robinhood. So Robinhood, when we look at this GAN here and this fib, the 3241, it's going below it currently. But what do we see here? It's going to open up on this arc right here, the bottom arc. And actually, that'll be the first touch since it kind of was a support before. So it was a previous support here back in December, breakout to the 886, rejection. Now it's back testing the bottom arc where it once was a previous support. So it's retesting that zone. So I'm going to be looking for that to kind of hold as a support. And if this all gets flipped to a resistance, then I'll be more cautious and be like, yeah, this might need to go back down to this 50% fib here, the 2406, because that could be a possibility. But ultimately, I'm just looking at this zone right here, the $30 up to the $32 zone. I want it to stabilize around there for the week to try to continue its journey back up. But if it can't stabilize there, if it flips it to resistance, then we have to look to lower levels, and that could be the 2406. So let's watch the price action on this one to see if it can. And yeah, coin right here we can see is I do have another GAN for this one that I've been using as well, and this one had another touch of the orange level, and actually that's exactly where it is pre-market too. It's back at that orange level, so there is a potential to stabilize here. We do have a fib in that area, I believe, as well, so we'll do it from a high to a low, and that fib is the 618 on log scale. And on linear scale, there is a fib below at 125, but I don't think that's really important to look at just yet. The zone to look at, to pay attention to right now is going to be this 158 down to current price, down to the 145, right? Maybe the previous low here was 146, kind of trying to stay above that previous low, right? 146 would be important to stay above. If so, then this has the potential to finally stabilize here. The market structure is still not that terrible, right? It's actually very nice. Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. You can't deny the fact that the market structure is kind of textbook with higher highs and higher lows, right? So this is technically a higher low from here. And you can look at this zone all the way down here. Even back in 2022, that was a support back here, a support zone. So it's a previous support, lots of support, flipped it back to a support, and now it's trying to maintain that. So giant cup and handle to looking formation. So regardless of all this downward price action, it's still following the market structure perfectly as usual. Let's see. Yeah, I wish we all had a crystal ball. Yeah, I see some other crypto requests. I'm gonna do somebody else's because let's go take a look at XRP in the morning. So XRP, I do have this GAN here, and I do see one thing that happened last night. And what happened was when you just look at the fibs alone, right? Let me just take off the GAN. The fibs alone from the 2017 high all the way down to the low right here. This actually hit the 76 for the first time finally. So is that a scary situation? Not really, right? It's not that scary because it's happened on so many other charts. It just took a long time for XRP to finally do it. And what else sits at that 786, the 161? It's the previous high, the 2021 high, right? The previous 2021 high resistance. It was a perfect wick on that fib, 1.612, and price got down to 1.611. So it did wick a little bit below that, hit perfectly, and now is the chance for price to stabilize there and continue higher, right? This is still a very giant bull flag. It's a nice looking formation. It's not so scary whatsoever, right? So I think what we're looking at here is something similar to this right here. Back in 2017, it was a giant breakout. It took about 6 months of consolidation right here before breaking out higher again, and it went down lower too, right? It went up here, stabilized for a little bit, then it flushed down lower, kind of like here. It went here, stabilized a little bit, flushed down lower. So I think what we could see is maybe another month or so of trying to stabilize, or maybe even sooner. Maybe even sooner, you can backtest all this resistance and try to break it again. But I'm looking for another close back above 225.877 to flip that back to a support in order to continue its journey higher. But now we're in a new range where the new range is going to be the 786 to the 886. That is the new range for XRP. And let's see here. ADA. Yeah, let me get to that one. Yeah, 1 second. My computer's being really slow here. Or I think it's TradingView. Maybe TradingView is crashing too, just like the market. It does that sometimes. Sherry, nice. Thanks for being here. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Okay, yeah, so let's get to ADA right here. And now we can see ADA is actually going back a little bit lower than this 60 cents. I wanted to see that 60 cents hold, but it didn't. So we can put on the SMAs here and the Ichimoku and see that it's actually backtesting, and it already did backtest this 100-week moving average. So that is something that is kind of nice, actually, because since it broke out back in November, it's the first time that it touched that. So in actuality, it's not that bad of a situation right there, the 50 cent zone. So let's watch that. Let's watch the top of the cloud around 54 cents, and it has a new possibility of trying to stabilize on this zone. But inevitably, this is something that's not too scary, actually, because it's still on top, still near the weekly Ichimoku cloud. It just lost this 382 support right here, the 60 cents. So I'll be looking forward to get back above that for some kind of continuation back to the highs above. But right now, just stabilize on top of 50 cents there for that. I already did Tesla. Yeah, you can go back and rewind it later for Tesla, but I'll do Nvidia now. So Nvidia is actually down right at the 100-week moving average, and this is also going to be the first touch in a long time. So since it broke out, since it broke out from the 100 down here, this blue line is my 100-week. That is at 19, right? That was in 2023 in January, back when it was 19 bucks. And then it finally is doing it right now pre-market. So I am looking for some kind of stability right here on top of that 88.61. That's what I'm looking at for Nvidia. I want to see things stabilize. I want to see things stay inside the cloud and continue towards back to the resistance above, right? So all of the fear that I had up here, if you guys are watching the show, you would understand that I was always scared of this resistance not being able to break it. And the reason why is this happened right here, right? So resistance could not get flipped back to support. So it went down to the next support level, and that's exactly right here. So this is something that I really want to see hold, because if it doesn't hold, that brings this to the table right here, the 71.15. And if that 71.15 is going to be hit, that'll be kind of a big drop for a lot of people. But that's why I think it's important to watch this zone, watch price stabilize on top of here if it can. And if so, then it has really good potential to even go back to the 100s, 110s, maybe even 120s again to try to flip it back to a support. So it's not dead yet by all means. It's also still higher than it was back in August 5th, right? That August 5th low is 90.69. Oh, actually, it's a little bit lower pre-market, but the week just started, so I'll be looking for a weekly candle close above that too. But right now, it's in a very nice support zone. Finally, the bottom of the cloud and the 100-week moving average. So I'll be looking for that for stability, for price stability. Yeah, I'll do a couple more, guys. I wanted to touch on Bitcoin too. Right. So Bitcoin, there's a couple things here, right? One of them is it's a backtest of trend, right? One of them is a backtest of trend. It's a 2021 high, 2021 high, and here was the 2024 of April high, and it backtested that trend line. So this actually is not too scary. Yes, trend lines are subjective because you can move them around however you want, but it's just a visual and a guide, an idea of what's happening for Bitcoin. So I wanted to point that out, that, you know what, throughout all this fear, it's just a backtest of trend. So that backtest of trend is not too scary when you look at it like that. And I also have the GAN here. And this I was looking at last night, and I was like, you know, this linear scale GAN does have a potential to go back to that 2024 high, maybe even the 2021 high down here, but it didn't make it, right? It only got down to 74.4. That orange level does sit around 72.302. So that's something I'll be looking at for Bitcoin as well, if it cannot start to break above any kind of resistance. And the resistance I'm talking about now is, we can put on the SMAs and the Ichimoku, and the resistance above is all of this up here. But one good thing that happened actually for the first time since back in September, look at that. It hit the 50-week moving average at 76.783. So that has potential to hold, and that's maybe the reason why it's not going back down to the 72,000 just yet, because it did get saved so far by the 76,784. And I think what I'm going to do is just watch that number, the 76,785, just see if that can actually hold on top of it for the week. And if so, then perhaps it can go back up to all of this resistance above. Right. So we are getting really close to the cloud now. You can see what happened last time it touched the cloud. It bounced, right? So that's just a few more weeks away, maybe even into May here before we see some kind of recovery. But it's not the end of the world for Bitcoin. It's a backtest of trend. It's a backtest of the 50-week moving average. It's almost a backtest of the cloud, and it has potential to stabilize here. So I'm not so fearful as everybody else yet. This does have potential to stabilize. So I'll be watching those levels right there. And the last one I'm going to do today, guys, is just MSTR. I got a lot of things to do today. I'm going to do my Patreon as well for my Patreon live stream. So I'm just going to take a look at this one for you before I jump off. And yeah, it's going back down to some important zones still. And the zone that it's been in is the same one that it's been in for the past month and a half. And that zone is between the fibs here, this 245.46 and the 340 right here, right? This is the zone it's been in, and no change really for anything. No change for anything. It's just the same zone. So it's getting really close to the cloud here. And if Bitcoin does the same thing, then perhaps they both can start to get out of this resistance zone together. So let's just watch this 245 low here. Let's watch the 340 resistance up here. And also this 300 level, sorry, the 280 level right here. I'm going to 283 to be exact. I'll be looking to see if that can break above for the week to actually continue to stabilize on top of that. So a couple of things there, but it actually looks even better than Bitcoin, to be honest, because Bitcoin touched the 50-week moving average while MSTR never did, right? It never touched it once. So it still has a more powerful bull trend, really, than Bitcoin at the moment. So can't really complain too much with MicroStrategy. All right, guys, I think that's it for today. So things are scary out there, but they do have a chance to stabilize. And the QQQ already wicked through its 2021 high. Yeah, I saw that Dan Ives lowered his price target from 315, but guess what? 315 is still above current price, right? So not too bearish, and Tesla still also has potential to stabilize as well. And with that, guys, I'll see you guys probably tomorrow. But now I'm going to go shift my focus to my Patreon. So see you guys later.